We're celebrating the 200th birthday of the twin manifestations of God for this age. And that is the Ba and Baha'u'llah. Now you will say, how can you celebrate two birthdays on one day? Right? This is what we call it a twin celebration of the twin manifestations. Baha'u'llah was born, Baha'u'llah is the prophet founder of the Baha'i Faith, was born in the year 1817 on the first day of Muharram. That's the lunar calendar, which before it was 12th of November. Actually the day is 12th of November, but when you go according to the lunar calendar, now it's 22nd of October, which is tomorrow. The Bab was born exactly 2 years after that, in the year 1819, on the first day of Muharram. So there was 2 years difference, and there's 1 day difference. But according to the Kitab al-Aqdas, which is the most holy book of the Baha'i Faith, these 2 days are considered as one. In the Baha'i Faith, we have many holy days, 9 holy days. Baha'u'llah in the Kitab al-Aqdas says that 2 of these holy days, these are the most great festivals. Now, one great festival is the declaration of the Baha'u'llah, which is when? In April. When did it happen? 1863. The declaration of Baha'u'llah and the declaration of the Bab in 1844, these two are considered as the most great festival. Another most great festival is this twin manifestations which we are celebrating. In fact, I was thinking, if you look at it, all of us who are present in this room today, and all the Baha'is and people of the whole world, if you look at it, we are privileged to be present at this 200th anniversary. We were not there for sure for the 100th anniversary, correct?
Yep.
None of us were born in 1917, before that. Alright? And none of us are going to be alive for the 300th anniversary. At least not me, I don't know. Which will be when? Which will be 2117. So, it is a privilege for the Baha'is all over the world to be present at this 200th Bicentenary celebration of the birthday of the Bab and Baha'u'llah. This one was my own thinking. I thought I'd share, and it creates some excitement. Now, to some of our friends who are not yet Baha'is and who are part of our community building process, what we are doing today is to share with you a little glimpse on the life of Baha'u'llah.
Baha'u'llah was born in 1817 in Iran, the capital of Iran. In his early childhood, he was endowed by God with innate knowledge. Baha'u'llah came from a noble family. When he was a young man, he was offered a high position in the court of the king, but he refused it.
So again, welcome.
everyone. It's really a joy and a pleasure to see all of you and to have you here with us today to celebrate the birth of Baha'u'llah, the founder of the Baha'i Faith. This year in particular is very significant because it marks the 200-year anniversary of his birth. And across the world, in small groups, in big groups, in villages, in towns, in cities, in neighborhoods, Baha'is together with their friends, their families, their colleagues, are coming together to celebrate this joyous occasion. Just a little bit about the Baha'i Faith, very little. And as you may be aware, the Baha'i Faith is the youngest world religion. It's been in existence for about 175 years today. And the central aims of the Baha'i Faith is to promote the unity of humanity. And so in every part of the world where Baha'is reside, we try to translate, we strive to translate the teachings of Baha'u'llah, its founder, and the oneness of humanity into practice in our different communities and countries.
Today, there are nearly over 8 million Baha'is worldwide. And here in Kenya, as of 2005 consensus, there were 430,000 Baha'is here. The Baha'i Faith first reached Kenya in 1920. And since then, it has spread from the Masai Mara to Western Kenya, Northern Kenya, Mombasa, and of course, Nairobi. Now, with that being said, there are about 180, communities of the Baha'i Faith within Kenya. Worldwide, leaders have also recognized this joyous occasion of the Baha'i Faith with the birth of Baha'u'llah by writing letters to their communities. You can find those on the website in your pamphlets that you should have. There's a website, Bicentenary, Baha'i.org, and you can go and look those up. So there's quite a few, like 20 of them or more. You can also find the video that we'll be seeing. We're going to have some readings and some prayers, followed by the Light to the World, which was specially created for this joyous occasion. This film is about 15 minutes long, and it's stories being told by different people throughout the world about the life of Baha'u'llah and his teachings.
So now we will start with the prayers and the devotions. Before that, we would like to kindly request that we switch off our phones or put them on silent so that the ringing phones don't interrupt while we're having the devotions. And I think if those involved in the devotions are ready, we'd like to invite them to come on stage and start. So, we're going to start.
Washataya Divine Lord, O thou who art generous and merciful, we are servants of thy threshold and are gathered beneath the sheltering shadows of thy divine unity. The sun of thy mercy is shining upon all, and the clouds of thy bounty shower upon all. Thy gifts encompass all. Thy loving providence sustains all. Thy protection overshadows all, and the glances of thy favor are cast upon all. O Lord, grant thine infinite bestowals, and let the light of thy guidance shine. Illumine the eyes, gladden the hearts with abiding joy. Confer a new spirit upon all people and bestow upon them eternal life. Unlock the gates of true understanding, and let the light of faith shine resplendent. Gather all people beneath the shadow of thy bounty, and cause them to unite in harmony, so that they may become as the rays of one sun, as the waves of one ocean, and the fruit of one tree. May they drink from the same fountain. May they be refreshed by the same breeze. May they receive illumination from the same source of light. Thou art the giver, the merciful, the omnipotent. Abdullah.
O friend, the heart is the dwelling of eternal mysteries. Make it not the home of fleeting fancies. Waste not the treasure of thy precious life in employment with this swiftly passing world. Thou comest from a world of holiness. Bind not thy heart to the earth. Thou art a dweller in the port of nearness. Choose not the homeland of the dust.
From the writings of Baha'u'llah. Be generous in prosperity and thankful in adversity. Be worthy of the trust of thy neighbor and look upon him with a bright and friendly face. Be a treasure to the poor, an admonisher to the rich, an answerer of the cry of the needy, a preserver of the sanctity of thy pledge. Be fair in thy judgment and guarded in thy speech. Be unjust to no man and show all meekness to all men. Be as a lamp unto them that walk in darkness, a joy to the sorrowful, a sea for the thirsty, a haven for the distressed, an upholder and defender of the victim of oppression. Let integrity and uprightness distinguish all thine acts. Be a home for the stranger, a balm to the suffering, a tower of strength to the fugitive. Be eyes to the blind, and a guiding light unto the feet of the erring. Be an ornament to the countenance of truth, a crown to the brow of fidelity, a pillar of the temple of righteousness, a breath of life to the body of mankind, and in sign of the hosts of justice, a luminary above the horizon of virtue, a dew to the soil of the human heart, an ark on the ocean of knowledge, a sun in the heaven of bounty, a gem on the diadem of wisdom, a shining light in the firmament of thy generation, a fruit upon the tree of humility.
have a short song by these two lovely gentlemen. Okay, enjoy.
Sindio? special for all of us.
Jamii ya Kibahai ya Nairobi inafurahishwa na nyinyi nyote kujiunga nasi kwa sherehe hii ambayo kwa kweli ni muhimu sana kwetu.
Around the world, millions of Baha'is are in unity and friendship, celebrating the 200th anniversary of the birthday of Baha'u'llah, the founder of the Baha'i Faith.
Mamilioni ya watu dunia kote wako kwa umoja na furaha kusherehekea kwa miaka 200 kwa kuzaliwa kwa Baha'u'llah ambaye ndiye mwanzilishi wa imani hii ya Bahai.
His message and teachings are one of unity and brotherhood.
Ujumbe na mafundisho yake ni ya kuhusu umoja na kutangamana kwa wanadamu.
He teaches us the earth is but one country and mankind its citizens.
Anatufundisha kuwa dunia ni nchi moja na wanadamu ni raia wake.
Kenya is home to a diverse group of Baha'is of every age, tribe, and background.
Kenya ni nyumbani mwa Wabahai ambao wametoka kwenye kabila tofauti na ambao pia wametoka kwenye nyakati tofauti.
With a single voice, we welcome you to enjoy our simple event today and hope you will share in the joy that this day represents for us.
Kwa sauti moja, tunawakaribisha tena kwenye sherehe hii ambayo ni kubwa na pia tunafurahia kuwa kwaoni tena hapa.
Again, karibuni sana. We will start the program with a short devotional program.
Tena, you are welcome. Na tutaanza na kipindi cha maombi. Karibuni tena.
O conquerors of the seen and the unseen, rejoice with exceeding gladness in your hearts and souls, for the night hath come for the harvesting of the ages and the gathering up of past cycles, the night wherein all days and nights were called into being, and the time preordained for this revelation was fulfilled at the behest of him who is the Lord of might and power. All joy to the conquerors on high at the appearance of so glorious, so wondrous a spirit. This is the night wherein the doors of paradise were flung open, and the gates of hell were shut fast. The night wherein the paradise of the All-Merciful was unveiled in the midmost heart of creation. The breezes of God were wafted from the retreats of forgiveness, and the last hour ushered in through the power of truth. Could ye but know it. All joy to this night, through which all days have been suffused with light. Though none can apprehend, this say those that are endued with certitude and discernment. Baha'u'llah.
To Have you heard the news, my friend? The promise to understand. His name is Baha'u'llah, the glory of God. If you like unity, come and join his army. Soon we make this whole one country. We have no bullets or guns. We have no tanks or bombs. Our only weapon is love and unity for all mankind. Have you heard the news, my friend? Mankind is one, my friend. So proclaim Baha'u'llah, the glory of God. Have you heard the news, my friend? Kenya is rising, my friend. Under the banner of Baha'u'llah, the glory of God. Thank you.
There's going to be a children's program for children under the age.
It is the hour of dawn on an ordinary day when an extraordinary child is born. And instead dedicates himself to helping the poor and the oppressed. Grows to young adulthood.
Please stand as our guest of honor joins us this evening.
the enormity of the privilege bestowed upon me this evening and being asked to make a few remarks has not escaped me. Indeed, it has left me lost for words to express my deep gratitude. And this is especially so because I am not a Baha'i. I have remained stubbornly a Christian of the Anglican faith. But my wife is a Baha'i, and she is a very gentle and dear soul, and a much, much better person than I could ever hope to be. Your Excellency, that was necessary because in this bad weather I don't want to spend tonight in the doghouse. Your Excellency, in my work as a judge, a very privileged position in which I have had benefit and advantage of opportunities to interact with judges from many jurisdictions around the world, I have learned that regardless of where they are born or where they live, human beings struggle with the same temptations, the same weaknesses, and the same earthly failings. There is therefore global and timeless application in the message contained in the first principle of the teaching of Baha'u'llah: search after truth. In every corner of the globe today, we're living in an age where every person with an internet-enabled, inbuilt camera cell phone has his or her own set of facts, and he or she also has rapid access to gullible audience. They call it the fake news and the alternative facts. But while indeed perceptives of an event, of an experience, or of an idea can differ, there is no doubt a core truth, an essential, indisputable reality about that event, that experience, and that idea. How well can we safeguard the core truth? How many laws do we have to write in every country in the world so that human beings can respect that core truth? Can laws really help us to sift through the large architecture of convenient readings and dubious interpretations and intentions, so that all we recognize is the veracity, or indeed the sanctity of that truth? Baha'u'llah cautions us against the race against religions, the superiority that each world religion claims against others, each claiming to be the only guardian of the truth. We would do well, Your Excellency, to remember this teaching in an age when competition has taken the place of compassion, where I, and me first, have taken the place of we. In our everyday thoughts, in our daily actions, life need not be competitive and intolerable. It can be complementary, filled with companionship, filled with an awareness and a responsiveness to other people's needs. Indeed, we must appreciate that our search for truth will never bear fruit until we form a self-reflective habit of empathy, truly seeing and valuing the situation of the person we are so busy running past. I'm reminded, Your Excellency, of that captivating moment in To Kill a Mockingbird, when Atticus Finch, the even-heeled boy working in America's racist South, explains to his 9-year-old daughter, Scout, why he is representing Tom Robinson, a black man who is facing a false rape charge. In Atticus's words, you never really understand a person until you consider things from his point of view. Until you climb into his skin and walk around in it. In a world that is increasingly divided by dogma, torn between competing ideologies, and burdened by histories of racism and ethnic discrimination, we must strive to learn how to do what Finch recommended. We all need to learn how to see things from the confines of someone else's skin, someone else's experiences and histories, and someone else's view. In the words of Abdu'l-Baha, we must strive so that our actions every day may be wonderful prayers. Your Excellency, increasingly, our world today suffers from the pull of the herd, the emerging practice of fundamentalism in religions worldwide. The inescapable fact is that whether one is speaking of Islam or of Christianity in its various denominations, today our world is being overrun by rigid fundamentalism, by people who have, to use again the words of Abdu'l-Baha, gradually become bound by a tradition and dogma. The real tragedy is that we're not at all talking about this evasion, about this soulless entry of religious discourse into all our spaces, our thought, all idioms, and without the accompanying positive shift in moral values, in basic goodness. If we are truly were guided by religious values, one wonders why there would be so many refugees in our midst. Doesn't every religion teach about the one God? Doesn't every religion teach about loving our neighbor, being sisters and brothers? How can we really transform humanity's inner life so that the outer conditions are just and equitable for all of us on this planet, for all of us in this country, for all of us in this room? Baha'u'llah stresses the oneness of the human family he places at the core of collective life. The equality of women and men he unequivocally asserts. So let us therefore muster the spirit of empathy that enables us to treat others justly and respectfully. Baha'i writings redefine religion to teach us that no one truth can contradict another truth. Let us learn to coexist. For as Baha'u'llah urges us, he says, ye are the fruits of one tree and the leaves of one branch. Deal ye one another with the utmost love and harmony, with friendliness So powerful is the light of unity that it can illuminate the whole earth. You see, my dear wife, look at me in adoration. They're not my words. They're from the epistle of Baha'u'llah to the son of the wolf. I thought about that particular value of the Baha'i teaching recently when I came across a sobering thought from Madhurati Roy, a celebrated, multi-talented Indian writer and activist. The thought that I stumbled upon is taken from her latest novel, The Ministry of Utmost Happiness. But until I read that book, I cannot be certain that it holds the geographical coordinates for the fountain of eternal life and happiness. But the title to that book and the following words from it inspire me to act on making the world a better place. The words are these, Your Excellency. Sometimes a single person's clarity can unnerve a muddled crowd. A single person's clarity can unnerve a muddled crowd. Humanity has never needed clarity more than it does now. In this age of information overload, fake news, alternative facts, and convenient interpretations. It is an age characterized by destructive social norms and detrimental values that are primed on self-centered materialism and blind ambition. As our world continues to plunge deeper into what one feels as a season of anime, to borrow a leaf from the great Wallace Ayinka, we need to hear the words of Roy that remind ourselves that we must never stop seeking clarity, and we must never stop affirming those who provide it, those who take on the role of enlightening others and triggering hope and regeneration. We must therefore, Your Excellency, affirm and amplify the teachings of Baha'u'llah. He says this: the world of humanity is like a tree. The nations of peoples are different limbs or branches of that tree, and the individual human creatures are the fruits and the blossoms thereof. Your Excellency, let me conclude by reminding you of a figure in Shakespeare's Hamlet. And it is she, completely dazed by Hamlet's ambitious words and actions, who proclaims thus: Lord, we know what we are, but not what we may be. I too, fairly dazed, often look to the world today, at this age of fake news and alternative facts, and think, is this all that we are? Self-absorbed, tech-driven, solitary seekers? Is that all that we are? It seems to me clear that it is a sum total of many in our world. But surely that need not be our nature tomorrow. We can mend our self-centered tendencies, and we can consciously re-engineer our character virtues. If we agree to commit ourselves to this urgent task, then the teachings of Baha'u'llah are the very ideal place to start. We must affirm them. Let empathy be our daily staff. Let the search for truth and light of unity be the moral pillars by which we all stand henceforth. This is no time for despair. It is a time for revelation. And I pray that these bicentenary celebrations will make those who are adherents of the faith take their rightful place in the revelation to the world. Indulge me as I conclude, Your Excellency. The faith of the Baha'is. It reminds me and makes me think of a torch that is illuminating onto a mirror. And the mirror reflects that light. But the light is the same. It doesn't change. And so you have the mirrors that the Baha'is call manifestations of God. Moses, Muhammad, His Holiness the Christ, Baha'u'llah, that God is one. And that light then shines onto the mirrors and reflects onto each and every one of us. As long as we can keep the mirrors of our own hearts clean so as to be able to reflect that light. And if we do so, our light will shine before men and women so that they see our goodly deeds and glorify our Father in heaven. I'm going to leave the final words to the 16th century explorer, Sir Francis Drake. And as the Baha'is in this room look to the next 100 years before we celebrate the tricentenary of the birth of Baha'u'llah, those of you who will be around here, I will make one very humble plea. Remember to invite me, but do not ask me to speak. This was a prayer that St. Francis Drake wrote just before setting off on the voyage to the Americas in the year 1577. And I share it with you as you embark on the next itinerary of the founder of the Baha'i Faith. Disturb us, Lord, when we are too well pleased with ourselves, when our dreams have come true because we have dreamed too little, when we have arrived safely because we sailed too close to the shore. Disturb us, Lord, when the abundance of things we possess, we have lost our thirst for the waters of life. Having fallen in love with life, we have ceased to dream of eternity, and in our efforts to build a new earth, we have allowed our vision of the new heaven to dim. Disturb us, Lord, to dare more boldly to venture on the wider seas where storms will show your mastery. Where losing sight of land, we shall find the stars. We ask you to push back the horizons of our hopes and to push into the future in strength, courage, hope, and love. God bless you.
O Son of Spirit, my first counsel is this: possess a pure, kindly, and radiant heart, that thine may be a sovereignty ancient, imperishable, and everlasting. O Son of Man, thou art my dominion, and my dominion perisheth not. Wherefore fearest thou thy perishing? Thou art my light, and my light shall never be extinguished. Why dost thou dread extinction? Thou art my glory, and my glory faded not. Thou art my robe, and my robe shall never be outworn. Abide then in thy love for me, that thou mayst find me in the realm of glory. O Son of Being, busy not thyself with this world, for with fire we test the gold, and with gold we test our servants.
As we reflect this evening, I urge us to remember the goal of all religions of this world, the ultimate reality for peace, coexistence, and cooperation, for they are the only real remedy for the afflictions of the world today. I thank the Baha'i community in Kenya who have worked and given of themselves to the poor communities since its foundation here in Kenya over 70 years ago. I applaud your work in peace building and education with special regard to young girls and women. You have helped cultivate hope for the future of many and positively impacted many lives through your work in improving access to health and sanitation across Kenyan communities. As we celebrate the 200th anniversary of the birth of Baha'u'llah, perhaps we should all pause and consider where we are in our individual relationships, as a nation, as citizens of this world. Do we show love and harmony? Are we the light of unity in our lives, or do we continue to hold fast to our differences? It is my encouragement that despite the fundamental differences that exist between our religious traditions, we can still recognize that we are all part of one human family. It is my hope that the Baha'is will remain steadfast and successful through their various service activities and continue to play a constructive role in bringing together peoples of all backgrounds so that with one unified heart, we can begin to achieve this vision of love and unity. I wish you all a wonderful evening of celebration. Thank you.
We may be seated.